What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Forward Progress, the Thursday night football breakdown between the Houston Texans and the New York Jets, presented by Fanduel. I'm Jason Cooper here, joined by Rob Pizzola. And today, we're going to be talking about the Texans. We're going to be talking about the Jets. And we're going to be talking about the discourse that's been going around online surrounding this game. A lot of people are shocked right now, Rob. The New York Jets in market right now, -2.5 at home, -105 at Fanduel. Total right now, this game is at 42.5. Juice towards the over -115. The talk around the Twitterverse right now is a lot of people are shocked that you can bet on the Texans as underdogs when they're currently 6-2 versus the New York Jets, who are currently 2-6. So, Rob, before you give us your thoughts on this game, break down a little bit as to why your thoughts on those people saying those things.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very clear lack of understanding or awareness as to how other things aside from just the records of the football teams can be priced into a game. And it's pretty simple here. I'm not saying I agree with the Jets side by any stretch of the imagination here. I think maybe we've gone a little bit too far at this point, but Stephon Diggs is now out for the year for the Houston Texans. Nico Collins, wide receiver 1, is out for them. So you're without wide receiver 1 and 2. Tank Dell this year, I know he hauled in a touchdown last week, but he has not been good this season. When you look at EPA for wide receivers, he's 51st of 58 qualified wide receivers this year in terms of EPA per reception. And the rest of the options there are just not very good. They're slow, especially, which is going to be a real problem against these New York Jets cover corners. So you look at the line move, it's nothing to do with the Jets being a better team than the Houston Texans or anything along those lines. It's just the situation with Houston not having their top 2 receivers for this game. Robert Woods is slow. Xavier Hutchinson is slow. Tank Dell, like we mentioned, not the greatest this year. So you got to incorporate that into the handicap. And I don't think people realize truly how much of a drop-off there is in terms of wide receiver production. That's why the number is where it is right now. With that said, Houston Texans get a reinforcement on defense. Henry To'oTo'o is playing in the linebacking core today. They got Kamari Lassiter back last week. They're healthier on defense. And the Jets have some key injuries themselves. Elijah Vera Tucker is out on the offensive line. Wes Schweitzer would normally be the other guard there. He's on IR. Morgan Moses, the right tackle, could miss the game tonight. CJ Mosley out on defense with a neck injury. Both starting safeties, Tony Adams, Ashton Davis, are out. Chuck Clark is on IR. It's a pretty beat-up Jets team as well. The issues at safety, though, are not necessarily something that the Texans are going to be able to exploit in this matchup without Collins and Diggs. So that factors into the equation as well. But overall, people get way too fixated on the records of the teams. I'll be honest with you, when I handicap a game, most of the time I don't even know what the records of the teams are. It's irrelevant for the actual game itself. I'm just looking at the stylistic matchup here, and I can see why someone would want to bet the Jets. I just think that we're kind of in la-la land right now where this is, a fair price on the game. Maybe I have closer to 1.5 or 2 points as being the fair for the Jets here, but completely understand all the money that came in on New York.
Yeah, for sure. And guess what? If you're in that camp where you're shocked that the Texans are underdogs here at 6-2, guess what? I have great news for you, a great financial opportunity. You can go bet on this game.
Of course.
So
that's the
if
thing.
That's how you, yeah.
Well, but people galaxy brain themselves into now betting the opposite side, which it's like, I don't understand the line in this game. That means the Jets got to be the right side. It's like, well, just trust your number in the game. But there's lots of situations where the sharps get it wrong, and the we don't know that if there's going to be buyback or not on this game on Houston at some point or another. But the reality is, if you can't understand the price of a game or why something's moving that way, you might want to take a step back and ask yourself, like, should I actually be betting this game? That's not to say you can't have an opinion on the Texans, but if you are dumbfounded as to how the market could fade Houston in this spot, also on a short week. The Jets have done this earlier this year, by the way. They played a Thursday night football game against the Patriots. They're used to the short week. This is the first one for the Houston coaching staff as well, which has traditionally been a very tough spot. There's a lot of factors outside the 6-2 and 2-6 record for these teams.
Yeah, great analysis there and breakdown by you. Let's get into the props quickly here. Just looking at the board right now, I'm going to shout out a couple good prices available at FanDuel right now. And Rob, I want you to kind of tell me your thoughts about these prices. So currently, right now, if you like Mike Williams and you like his over, both his receiving yards and his longest reception, by far best price in market. So if you like those, if you like Mike Williams, you're looking to bet his over, make sure you do it at FanDuel. A couple others I'll rattle off here. Aaron Rodgers completions 20.5 over -108 on his completions. That's the best price in market. Joe Mixon receiving yards 22.5 over at -110. Also the best price in market. And then finally Dalton Schultz receiving yards over 40.5 at -110. The best price in market. So all those are really good prices in market compared to the rest of the market here. So if you like those, play those at FanDuel. Rob, quickly, your thoughts on those?
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers completions 20.5. I do like the over here. They really don't have the downfield threat right now. Everything is underneath. Aaron Rodgers pretty consistently has hit this number this year. It's a better pass defense, but I still like the over on that one. So that's a good one. Mike Williams, honestly, that's such a great price, but I lean opposite for this game on Mike Williams. I'm not convinced that he is going to get a ton of usage with Allen Lazard out because they have Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams on the outside. Allen Lazard would typically get the slot snaps. I don't know where Mike Williams fits in tonight, and this is just gut feel, but I think when Xavier Gipson odds get posted later on in the day, he might be a guy where you want to take a look at the over or maybe even some alternate overs. We saw Malachi Corley as well on the field a lot last week, but he was out for a lot of run blocking where he's kind of excelled so far. I'm not sure that I like the Williams part of it. Joe Mixon is really interesting because Hitman on the Saturday show last week talked about how he's kind of been worked out of the passing game. I think a lot of that was just due to him coming back from injury, and he was actually on the field quite a lot on passing downs last week and some third downs as well, which he had typically lost to the backup there, Dario Gumbawale. I kind of like that over a little bit. I wouldn't go nuts with it, but it could really depend on the game state here as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because if Houston is chasing, like if you like the Jets in the game and Houston is chasing, I think there's a very decent chance that Mixon comes out for a lot of those snaps and Ogumbawale goes in. If you think it's a competitive game throughout, then I kind of like that over in that spot. So I'm kind of lukewarm on the Joe Mixon over receiving yards. Dalton Schultz, I think there's been a bit of a price adjustment there now where I no longer want to go at it. I mean, we do have the Cade Otton example of wide receiver 1 and 2 out and Baker just targeting Cade Otton over and over and over. I think a lot of people are going to look at Dalton Schultz for that reason. But in a similar vein, I would rather just play Dalton Schultz on some alternate receiving yardage props because there's definitely a game plan here potentially where he gets fed the rock a ton, then play just the 40.5 over.
Yeah, and you can take a look at his alt receiving yards here. The 50 plus is around plus 144, 60 plus 225, 70 plus plus 350, 80 plus plus 520. You can work your way all the way up there if you like those. Football is in full swing. There's no better place to get in on the NFL action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can kick off the season with $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Just place any $5 bet and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. You can use your bets on spread, props, live bets, the to catch a pass market, which we've been loving on the live watch along, overs, unders, and so much more. We love FanDuel here at Forward Progress with their great odds, their lightning fast payouts, and of course their extensive prop menu, which we love to kind of pick at. Just visit FanDuel.com/Forward Progress to download America's #1 sportsbook. That's FanDuel.com/Forward Progress. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino or 18 plus and present in DC. First online real money wager only. $5 deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. All right, Rob, SGP time. Little bit of a tougher look here for me. I'm kind of struggling looking at this game. Hard for me to craft a story. So you have two SGPs here. Craft the story for both of them for us.
Yeah, so I don't like the game in terms of side or total or anything here, but that doesn't mean you can't build out, some sort of game scripts and put together something that pays a decent amount tonight. Plus, you can use your boost tokens as well at Fanduel. So let's start with the Houston side of things for tonight. Say you like Houston in the game. I would sell Houston to -2.5. So rather than taking the +2.5, sell it to -2.5 and hope that they win by a field goal or more. Now, Judah talks about this a lot here on Forward Progress, and I really love the look because it makes a lot of sense. People think that if Houston's going to win the game by a field goal, that means that CJ Stroud had a good game or is going to put up big yardage. And that's not necessarily the case. In a lot of these instances, it's the opposing quarterback that ends up putting up the big yardages because they're in a trailing game state a lot here. So with Houston, I'd like to pair that with Aaron Rodgers, 275 plus yards. We've actually seen many games this year where Aaron Rodgers has hit this number purely because of the scenarios where they've been trailing and he's had to throw. So 275 plus for Rodgers. And I think the ultimate factor to Houston winning this game, if they're going to cover the 2.5, is that Joe Mixon ends up having another good game. He's had 3 straight 100 plus yard games. This is a Jets defense that has been very suspect in terms of stopping the run. Extremely hit or miss. They have given up some big gainers this year. And I would take Joe Mixon, alternate rushing yards, 100 plus as well. So that would typically pay in the 13 to 14 to 1 range. But that's the story that I would craft for the Houston Texans side of things. And if we're going to flip that on its head and we're going to say, okay, maybe the sharps are right here, the Jets were the valuable side, sell points on the Jets as well. Take the Jets up to -5.5 on the alternate spread. And let's do the opposite here. So Jets -5.5, we go CJ Stroud, 250 plus passing yards. Because again, when the Jets are winning by margin, it's very likely that Houston's going to have to throw the ball a lot down the stretch. So we take CJ Stroud over, and then this one might seem counterintuitive, but I would throw Joe Mixon under receiving yards in there because when the Texans are trailing, they tend to take Joe Mixon off the field in favor of Dare Ogunbowale, who is a very good pass-catching back. They've used him on third downs a lot this year as well. So that's the play I would make on the other side of things. Jets alternate spread -5.5, Stroud 250 plus, Joe Mixon under on his receiving yardage total.
Yeah, I love both of these. And if you're in the camp of like wondering why Texans are underdogs in this game, like that seems like the perfect parlay to play the Texans -2.5. I don't know if I could ever back the Jets, Rob. I'm like deathly afraid of backing that team. I've been hurt too many times. So second one, if I had to give a review, I'm very lukewarm on it. But anyways, love those two SGPs.
The whole idea here is about building like a fun parlay that makes sense even when you don't love the game, because it gives you a rooting interest at long shot odds. I do this all the time on our live watch along streams. We often do these in game as well, which I'm sure we'll do tonight as well. But it's just something that logically makes sense. I would rather do that than take 5-6 props I like and just throw them all together, because a lot of times those props are actually not correlated to one another. And it's going to be very hard for all 6 of those to hit unless you get a very, very specific game script. I think that there's lots of potential ways to hit either of these bets. You do need an alt spread to hit. So you need the spread to be off, but not off by a ton either. Like, we're not asking for the Jets to win by 30 here or Houston to win by 2 touchdowns. So I like both of these looks.
Yeah, both great looks. And again, there's a 50% profit boost token for an SGP with 3+ legs on FanDuel up to $50. So if you like either of these and you want to slap a profit boost token on them, boost them by 50%, you should go and do that and play those at FanDuel. But that just about does it for us here. Before we head out, I want to quickly remind you that we are doing a live watch along tonight like we do for every single primetime game here on Forward Progress. So if you're new here, subscribe to the channel. We got Matt Freeman coming on for the first quarter, Drunken Goon, who's a chatter, always in the chat, coming on for the second quarter, Jeff Feinberg third quarter, and Hitman in the fourth quarter. Are going to be a lot of fun tonight. So again, if you're new here and you watched the video this far, that means you probably like our content. So press the like button and subscribe to our channel. Really helps us in the algorithm here. For myself, for Rob Pizzola, this has been a Thursday Night Football breakdown here on Forward Progress presented by FanDuel. We'll see you guys tonight.